Hello y'all, this is Jerry, and this is a really tough video to make. My stomach is in huge knots right now. I mean huge knots. I've been thinking about it for 3 days, and I finally I have to do it. And I may be wrong for it. I hope I'm not embarrassing my family or anybody, my loved ones, my friends. I have a testimony, and I need to not forget it. One thing I owed God. God spared me from suicide twice. And my addiction is another thing. I got through that. I've had to pay my debt to society. All this was more than 20 years ago, so I've restored some of my rights in Texas, and I take that seriously because there's a fine line that I can't cross, and I got to be careful, and it's important to me. But I also, because God spared me, I believe for the reason that I would give Him the glory, and I owe that to God. I owe that to the friends, the people that believed in me, that helped me. Miss Bobo, my probation officer, Miss Riley, they were in Denton and Dallas County. Miss Bobo drove me all the way to Waco in her own car in the end of 1999, and I got to stay. They approved me 4 months in the rehab there. That changed my life. I still end up having to do my time at the end of 2002. So by 2003, it was all behind me, and I've kept my sobriety, done well, except for the suicide attempts, a couple of them a few years back. Like 5 years ago, really. 6 years ago. So anyway, I'm going to get into it. Now, I may jump around a little bit. Y'all forgive me. I've had strokes. I've told you this before. And I lose my train of thought. And this has me really nervous because this is not easy to talk about. Some of it's embarrassing. And I want to make sure I'm not crossing that fine line of glorifying anything. If I did glorify drugs or anything, like, you know, I'm shitting on my friends that died, you know, overdosed or committed suicide, and that shit hurts me bad. I take that shit seriously. But here's what got me aggravated. I'm just getting knots in my stomach trying to even say it. Jerad has this video, and he's talking about it, how Jerad, or how Neeves Knives become a felon. And then he starts talking about he grew up in housing, government housing, and his dad was Mafia connected. And then he used to go work people over in the middle of the night for his dad. He's robbed people, he's robbed, killed, and steal, and all this shit. Then he shows Hollywood clips of like Robert De Niro saying, "You did good. You didn't pinch your friends, man. You're not a rat. You know, you never rat on your friends." And he's bragging that his dad taught him that shit. You know, I can't relate to that. My dad died when I was still. He was a good man. He was my soccer coach. He was a machinist. He had, you know, he was an Army veteran. My dad was a decent, good man. I'm not half the man that my dad was, and I say that without pride. You know, I wish I could have been as good a father to my son as my dad was to me. I always wanted to do that. I didn't ever imagine in a million years addiction would plague me later in life after the military and everything, but it did. But the one thing I can do, like looking at my son in the eye and saying, I know I wasn't there at times. I did my best under the circumstances, and better than at least acting like I didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, I know I didn't. I know I did wrong, and I know I wasn't there at times. I was there more than I wasn't, but even sometimes I was there, I wasn't fully there, you know. But I can't undo the past, but I can sure use my testimony to show people that there is a life after addiction. You can win the trust of people. I have friends in law enforcement that trust me. We go shooting, and they know. I feel I owed it to them to tell them. And they said, "Jerry, that's your past. We don't judge you for that. You know, we know that you turn your life around." And that means a lot to me. My friends trust me. I have friends that I feed their dogs. I can go in their house when they're gone. They don't think of me like, "Oh, he's a junkie. He'll steal from you. He'll do." They don't treat me like that, and that means the world to me. But Jerad bragging about how many all that outrunning the cops, they could never catch him, that's a crock of shit. You know, and if you do outrun the police doing 100 miles an hour, you're a piece of shit because you're out there endangering innocent women and children. Anybody that hurts women and children is a piece of shit coward, gutless piece of shit. And I'm not innocent, and I've had to pay my debt to society, but one thing I will never do is go brag and have that stupid mentality that makes me some kind of a badass. It doesn't. It's nothing to brag about. It's ugly. But it's part of my testimony. It's part of what made me who I am. And I owe that to God for sparing me. I know that God wants me, to use my testimony. But if I get out and glorify the shit, then that's a disgrace to God. It's a disgrace to my friends that died, that didn't get a second chance, that overdosed, that are dead, or the ones that hung themselves and committed suicide. And I'm not going to do that to my friends. I have some pictures of some of my friends, and I was going to show it, but, I'm not going to do that. Some of the guys, like, well, I am going to show some of these pictures, and this is what got me started. I got a taste for drugs after my dad died in 1982. I was 12 years old, and I started getting in a taste for drugs, but I never got anything out of hand that I couldn't do a waiver when I got in boot camp. Well, before boot camp, I had to prove to them, like, they had to, write out what you did. And I'm like, yeah, I experimented with marijuana and stuff like that, but I did really a lot more, but I didn't tell them because I wanted to serve, and I did. I'm an honorably discharged Gulf War veteran. I'm a Navy veteran, and I'm proud of my service. But I did that, and honorably discharged in 1993. I have Gulf War syndrome. I've been sick for years, me and some of my buddies. Some of them have died, but they finally started helping us. We finally started getting benefits. Several of the guys got 100% recently. I got Social Security like 10 years ago because my neurologist at Dallas VA helped me. He was retiring, and that's how he was able to help me. And I've had strokes because of the drugs. They wouldn't give me good, like, narcotics back then. They would just give me, like, not over the counter, but like prescription, what was it called? It was an NSAID, Vioxx. I had several strokes using that prescription NSAID. It was like Motrin, but a little bit better. Anyway, so what happened? The first thing was I got second and third degree burns on my legs, and a grill blew up. This was like 1995, and so it healed pretty well. The doctor told me about using aloe vera, and so you can hardly tell anymore, but the aloe vera, and I use Silvadene cream for the scarring, for the pain, but I use aloe vera and vitamin E on my legs to keep the scarring down. You really can't tell very much. You can see on the top of my feet in places, and I really can't get a lot of sun on my legs because it aggravates me and makes me itch, and kind of, scar tissue is not normal. So anyway, after I got the burns, they prescribed me hydrocodones for a few weeks. They gave me morphine when I got to the hospital, but I got hydrocodones for a while, and then I got living shit beat out of me when I just about was getting over the burns. I got the meat tore off the bone. I knew it was going to happen, but I thought we would stand up toe to toe, and I would probably get my ass kicked. The guy was twice my size, and that's not an excuse. You don't back out of a fight because of something like that, but he beat the shit out of me. Plain and simple. I'm glad it happened. I had broken fingers, a broken nose, and bloody kidneys, or blood in my urine from my kidneys. And I started taking hydrocodone. Again, I got morphine, or Demerol, I think, injection of Demerol when I got to the doctor, but, I learned forgiveness. For like 3-4 months, I was like plowing fields. I worked for a farmer for a while, and at the time I was pouring concrete. I was a low-level supervisor for a concrete company in Denton, Texas. But anyway, the doctor prescribed me hydrocodones for my kidneys and stuff, and for all the pain, he gave me Demerol. I'm pretty sure it was Demerol when I got in there, after I went and got the x-rays on my head and stuff. But I noticed like a week or two later, this went on for a few weeks because I would start getting better, and next thing I know, when I rode in my car or whatever, I would feel like it felt like I was leaning against a softball or baseball in my back, my kidney. And I'd go back in there and piss in a cup, and they would say, "Oh, you got more blood." So he'd give me more hydrocodone and some antibiotics or something. And when I would stop, it was weird. When I was running out of hydrocodone, I had the flu. And I told one of my friends that was an opiate addict, an older guy, And he's like, Jerry, that's not flu. You're addicted. And I'm like, no way. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, my legs are getting fidgety. I'm getting achy and, running nose and all that stuff. And I'm like, damn, I am. So I went straight to my doctor and told him. He's like, oh, there's no way. You haven't done it long enough. And he just cut me off and gave me like tramadol. And I'm like, oh. Well, I was okay with that because I didn't know. I thought that was going to be all right. Well, no, the tramadol didn't even stop it or slow it down. So I had to go find hydrocodone on my own. And this was like 95, 96. By 98, I had a really strong opiate addiction. And I still worked. I was functional. I'm not excusing it, minimizing it. It's still ugly, and it got really ugly around 98 and 99. And then I did pretty good after 2000. My probation officer, Miss Bobo, I got arrested in 98. 98 twice. February, in September, for an automatic knife, and that was like a little misdemeanor, but I got a couple weeks in jail. And then in November, I got pulled over, and the officer, I've contacted him recently. Now he's with the FBI. And I let him know how I'm doing, and I said, I appreciate the way you treated me. He found the drugs. First of all, I pulled near a restaurant because I was scared the way they treated me with the knife. I was afraid he was really going to, I didn't know if it was the same cops. I was scared of him. So I pulled in front of a restaurant, and I got on, assumed the position. He's like, what are you doing? I said, I have firearms in the vehicle. And he's like, what are they? And I said, a shotgun and a 22. He's like, that's all right, just stand up here. You're all right. You're all right. And I said, all right, I just didn't know it. The way they treated me a couple months ago, I didn't know. He's like, you're good. And he was really cool with me. Well, when I turned into the restaurant, I also opened the door and tossed my drugs out. It was not a large amount, but, he walked over there and picked it up, and he came back and said, this yours? And I said, yes, sir. I didn't act stupid with him. He could have really hung it to me, but he was fair. He was stern. I mean, he did what he had to do. It was his job, but he could have made it a lot worse for me, and he didn't. And, the probation, Miss Bobo, like I was saying, she drove me to Waco. She came and got me. She brought an officer, a mental health officer, and I was bad. You can see this is not, I know this is embarrassing for my family, but I'm just wanting to be honest. You can see the scars of that ugliness, even though it was 20 years ago. She said, Jerry, what am I going to test? What am I going to find? And I told her. And, I'm thinking, well, here I'm going to go do 2 years now. Well, I went to the Denton County, and Betty Hughes was over the chemical dependency, and she asked me, and I'm not going to go into details because they have ways of knowing if you should get help or not, or if you're eligible. And I told her why I think I should, and next thing I know, Miss Bobo driving me all the way from Denton to Waco, which is about a 3.5 hour drive in her own car, and I will forever, and they paid for 4 months in the rehab. The VA kept doing this where I thought they were going to help me, and what they would do is detox me for 7 to 10 days and wean me down with opiates like methadone, and then kick me out and say, I would like, no, you said 3 months. I get to go to bottom to the 3-month rehab. No, you have to go out and come back in 7 to 10 days, and if you give a clean UA, then you can go. And I'm like, that's stupid as shit. If I could do that, then I wouldn't need the 3 months. So that's counterproductive. That's the way the VA is. That's why people commit suicide 22 a day, because they don't help you. That's why my friend Lawrence Gerwe hung himself. He hung himself at the Dallas VA the second time they did that. We were in there twice at the same time. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in divine intervention. And hate them for that. But, so, Miss Bobo, I got to go to that rehab 3 months, and I asked for a month extension, and they paid for it. Denton County, and I'm so grateful for that. I got more help from the Texas Department of Corrections than I did from the VA. That's a fact. So anyway, yeah, I stayed in Waco for 1.5 years. That was difficult because I couldn't see my son as often. I would get a little bit of time off work, and I'd go get him. We'd go camping or something. But there was a lot of phone calls and a lot of driving down there to see him for Father's Day or something at the church. But a lot of letdown. And that's hard for a little boy. You should be there, as a father. And that's another reason I'm not going to glorify anything other than I'm not a piece of shit. But I'm not proud of not being as good a father to my son as my dad was to me. I don't think I showed the picture of my dad. I seen that after the pictures of my legs and the, you know, I got this. This was my dad. My dad was a very good man. He adopted me from birth, and I loved my daddy very much. He passed when I was 12, and that's the hardest thing I've ever been through. I don't feel sorry for me, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel sorry for that little boy. That little boy was broken. And this man that's telling you this is a better person and stronger because of it. But that little boy, I feel sorry for that little boy. I don't feel sorry for this man. Everything I've been through made me who I am, and I'm okay with that. I'm maybe a work in progress, and I'm far from perfect, but I'm okay with who I am. I've learned everything the hard way, and, you know, recovered from the strokes. I've been through a lot, and here I keep fighting, and I keep proving to people that I earn their respect and trust, and that's why I'm on the fine line here of telling my testimony without looking like a dipshit, like that, showing Hollywood clips, glamorizing drugs and Mafia connections and shit. That's stupid as shit, you know. It's just ridiculously stupid. It is glamorizing it and glorifying it. That's dumb. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to shit on my friends. A lot of them, I only have their mug shots. This is really, really hard, y'all. I've lost so many friends, and they were good people. Some of them, you know, all the ones that died, they were really outstanding people, especially for having an addiction. Marty was a really good guy, hardworking. He died at like 27 or 28, and I got pissed at him a few times. He could get to be an asshole sometimes. Chris McCormick, he was a good guy. You know, he overdosed in his truck alone after getting out of prison and losing his tolerance. But he was a good guy. He was Marine veteran and honorably discharged. He was a college graduate. He went to UNT, University of North Texas. And Chris was a good guy. He taught me a lot about dogs and dog food. You know, he showed me how to pick out good dog food and things like that. And he's dead. He was a printer. And, he was good at what he did. He was a very smart guy. You know, Sammy and Locker Gallo, I have some pictures of them too, but I'm just not going to go there. Erin Avila, she's one of the last ones that overdosed. She overdosed in the bathroom at her dad's house, and her tongue was swollen up out of her mouth. That's what happens when you usually overdose on heroin or something. And her dad had to knock down the door and do not the ABCs, airway breathing. Yeah, CPR. He had to do CPR on his daughter with her tongue swollen up out of her mouth and her face blue in front of her kids, her junior high and high school kids. They saw that. It's the ugliness of the disease. If you glorify it, you're a piece of shit, because this is the ugliness of the disease. There's nothing to glorify. It's ugly and it's nasty and it destroys lives, destroys families. And here sometimes it's like a little burden. Like, I think, what did I do to deserve it where my friends didn't? And I believe the answer is that God knew that I would give him the glory, and I do. But I feel like I couldn't live 3 lifetimes and do enough to earn what I've been given by God and people like Miss Bobo and the Judge Manny Alvarez in Dallas County said, if you come back before me, he was going to give me 2 years probation, but I said, I want deferred. And he said, well, that's 5 years, and if you come back before me, you'll do 2 years state jail day for day. And this is the other thing, Jerad, is kind of really stupid to me, that he's like, he's robbing and big time. He's so big time. He'd work over people. His dad called him in the middle of the night. They grew up in public housing, but they're Mafia connected. That's crocus shit right there. It doesn't make sense. Then he's showing Mafia clips, like I've already said, like Mafia clips of Robert De Niro. It's just really stupid, cheesy. And, what was it? I lost my train of thought. There was something else. Jerad. He's robbed people and talks about, if you rob a person, it's not as bad as knocking over armored car. Yeah, you're a piece of shit if you're doing any kind of robbery. And I would say that anybody that's drug addicted and been raised in a life of crime since they were a kid by their dad teaching them not to snitch and stuff, I don't believe that you had an addiction and you were that involved in crime to rob people and run from the police, they couldn't catch you and all that, but yet you got probation and that cleaned you up. You got your life together because you didn't want to go to prison. Bullshit. I know kids that were like schoolboys that went to prison because, and they've never been in a fight in their life. They couldn't even go to any ghetto. They had some kind of easy connection or in between, and they'd never been in a fight in their life. This one kid named, his last name was Reed. I can't remember his full name or whatever, but he was from Justin. We literally had to show him how to hold a fist so he could get up and make a stand, and after that we could kind of look out for him. But he had to stand his ground. He did. God bless his heart, he did. That's an ugly place. I don't ever want to go back to that. What things that I've seen is horrible. But so if this kid that's never been in trouble in his life, that was raised with a decent family, couldn't stop until he literally went to prison, I don't know if he's alive or dead, really. But if he couldn't do it, then how is a guy that was brought into it and Mafia connected and all that going to get probation and turn his life around? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I seriously doubt it. And they also said he always knew he'd go to prison. Well, that's bullshit too, because like myself, when my mom would say when I was young, you're going to wind up in prison or dead. And I was like, no, I'm not. Even when I got started with my opiates, people were like, Jerry, Chris in particular, Chris McCormick said, Jerry, you get involved in this, you're going to start stealing. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I hate thieves. You know, that's what I said. And I meant it. I knew I was different. Every fucking addict believes that in themselves. Every one of us are the same. We are cut from the same cloth. We all believe that we're different. We're going to be successful at it. We're not going to prison. We're not going to get caught. And we're not going to steal. We're not going to do this. We do everything that everybody said we were going to do, and maybe worse. That's a fact. And so those things don't add up. I've been in recovery, I mean deep into recovery, where I had my sponsor. I got a year, celebrating my year of sobriety. So I know the disease inside and out, and I'll help anybody. But one thing I won't listen to is somebody bullshitting me, calling me drunk or high, slurring and all over the place. I'll tell them, you know, call me back before you get fucked up or before you're drunk, and we'll talk. I don't care if it's my own son. If you want to come to me clean, or, you know, before you take the drink, before you're high, I'll help anybody. I'll love you. I'll help you. But don't call me when you're fucked up. I don't want to hear somebody talking shit drunk or fucking high about what they're going to do tomorrow. Call me before you do that shit. I know one thing. You can't candy-ass people around that are in addiction. You have to let them hit rock bottom, and you have to let them feel the ugliness of their disease. And for most people, it's incarceration and, you know, knowing that if they get a third strike, they're going to be in there for 20 years or more. The other thing, you look down in my videos, I have a petition for Humberto Morales. He's a friend for more than 20 years. He's seen me strung out, and he's seen me get my shit together, and he kept his word to me. He's doing 25 fed years right now in the federal pen for a conspiracy. It was an amount of meth like a pound. And he's not like a guy that was too lazy to work or whatever. He had polio as a child, so he has some deformities in his lower body, but he's a really good-hearted guy, and we all love him, his friends and family and neighbors. And, you know, he used to invite me to have like holidays with his family. They're mostly Spanish-speaking, and they would accept me around. Not when I was like that, but after I got clean, he kept his word to me. Hold on, Don Quixote. He kept his word to me. But, you know, he got a conspiracy. There was one that wanted the drugs, the one that had him at the top, and here he is in the middle. He got 25. One guy got more, and the other guy, got a little less. But, you know, that's the kind of people that I'm associated. There's nothing to brag about. There's nothing romantic or great about it. My petition is because it's Robert's first offense. He had polio. He's over 50, not 55. 25 years is a life sentence, and it's a non-violent crime. I'm not saying it's an innocent crime, but if he got 5 to 7 years, no one would say anything. Even him. He doesn't blame anybody. He says, I got myself here, Jerry. I did this. He doesn't blame anybody. The first time we talked, after he got locked up, I was ready to break out in tears. I'm a sensitive guy. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm not ashamed of it. And I was about ready to fall apart. And he said, "Hey, pinche gringo." And then I'm just like, you know, that broke it. I just like fell, you know, my heart was like, it warmed my heart, made me laugh. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. That, you know, it just warmed my heart. That's the way he is. He's so funny. He has a good heart. I think he knew that I was about to fall apart, and that's the way, his way of like, it's okay, buddy. It's all right, man. I'm okay. And we're going to do our best to get him out of there. And God is my witness. I believe God will break those chains. I believe he'll get out before he does 10 years. But I'm going to do another petition. And if anybody knows people that can help like this, please look at the petition, sign it, see if you can get it to people that can help us. But anyway, again, if I'm trying to glorify stuff, is that going to look good for him? No, it's not. And it's not going to look good to the people that believe in me. It's not going to look good to the people that are dead. And I believe the most honorable thing you can do is looking out for the interests of those that died, you know, instead of shitting on them because they're not here any longer. Being a friend or a loved one to somebody dead and honoring them, respecting them, is more important to me when they're dead than when they were alive. When they were alive, they could boot and bat for themselves. Now that they're not here, the honorable thing is to do the right thing. And if you're showing some candy ass Hollywood things like it's glamorous, you're not trying to keep people from getting that disease. You're making it look like it's fucking cool, and it's not cool. It's scummy, it's nasty, and it's shitty. And that's why I'm making this. I'm not doing it because it's my business what he posts, but I don't want to see anybody glorifying that bullshit. He said, I'm not glorifying it. Yeah, he is. And here's Nick Shabazz going, respect. That's not respect to that little dipshit, little bastard Shabazz that thinks he's a gem. He's an idiot. He's an idiot too. You know, most people see through that shit. Most people. People that have never been in it might think, you know, they're not going to see some of these things, but anybody in recovery, any real addict, they're going to see right through all that bullshit. And yeah, he is glamorizing it and glorifying it, bragging about his crimes. The police couldn't catch him. Bullshit. And this is why I'm making it. I'm setting that record straight. But if I'm right or wrong, or anybody, you have your opinions, I'm not going to get mad at you if I don't agree with you. I tell people all the time, tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. If you're telling me what I need to hear and kissing my ass, that's not helping me. I'm not growing or learning. When you call me on my bullshit, that's what helps me. That's why I had a sponsor for years, because I needed to be called on my shit to learn to be healthy and a good person and get over my bullshit, honestly. We all need that. Addicts, addiction ruins us. It teaches us to be manipulative and, you know, and I wanted to be better than that. And I have, thank God, that I was willing to dedicate myself to that and get help. And I still do, you know. I take opiate blockers now, and I like it. It makes me feel good that, you know, I got this sobriety. I go piss in the cup every month, and I'm really proud of myself. Over 5 years just of that. But even when I was on the pain management, I still managed to do it right. I didn't abuse it. I didn't, you know, I did really well. But now that I'm off of even that, pain management, I'm even more proud. And even though I'm sick and I still have pain, some days I get fibromyalgia, I can't even get up. I can't move. So I'm still disabled, but it's better than it used to be in a lot of ways. But I still have good days and bad days. There's days that I can hardly move, you know. I feel like somebody's beating me up with a rubber bat. Anyway, I guess rather than ramble, I'm going to cut it off here. But I'm probably forgetting some things, and I probably might have said something I shouldn't. I may have repeated myself. Forgive me, y'all. I've had strokes, and I, you know, may have some brain damage from that and other things, but I do this with my heart. I feel like it's the right thing to do. I'm not doing it to be an asshole or a jerk. I'm not, and I hope it's not received like that. I hope people understand what I'm doing. You might understand what I'm doing more than I even understand what I'm doing. I don't know. I'm just speaking from my heart, and I'm doing the best I can. I'll probably watch this and go, oh, why did I say that? Oh, I forgot to say this. I don't know. But I hope y'all understand and get what I'm saying, and I hope I'm not making an ass out of myself or making myself look like a dickhead. I'm not trying to. I love God. God's good to me. God's been good to me. And my dog, Don Quixote, come here. And, you know, that's another thing. When I got locked up, my friend had to find my dog, Sancho, come here, a home. That's not something I'm proud of either. I hate that. I'll have to live with that forever. Come here, Don Quixote. You want to get up here and say hi on the camera? He's eating a rawhide. Come here. I'm about to say bye to y'all, so come on, get up here. All right, that's my boy. I love this dog too. He's my pride and joy, and I owe it to him too to do the right thing so I don't get locked up and lose him. I couldn't live with that. I could not live with that. The other thing I wanted to mention was these woke politics. Like YouTube does it, Facebook does it. You know, if you have patriotic content or conservative content or gun content or anything like that, they try to, you know, they unsubscribe people from me, unsubscribe me to my friends with fellow knife channels or gun content or whatever. I hate that. I constantly have to resubscribe. My goal here is to enjoy myself, to make videos and try to help other people and be part of the knife community. It's not to make money. I can't really make money anyway. I could jeopardize losing my benefits, but to me it's just something that I enjoy. I like being part of it. But I think I have like 720 subscribers. There's been many times, especially with Don Quixote videos, there'll be like 2,280, you know, 2,200 views and like 80 likes, and I'll have like, say, 700 subscribers, and I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have 670, and then 2,800 views, and then like 40 likes. It's like they're taking away likes, really? But that's what they're doing. They're pushing these woke politics. They're censoring, pushing these pandemics that have to do with the clot shot and all that. And I hate all that stuff. And I'm willing to die for what I believe in. I'm already a Gulf War veteran. I volunteered to go help what I believe. Now I know I fought an oil war, but at the time I didn't. I thought I was really helping an oppressed country or whatever and fighting for my country, and I still believe in that. But anyway, I love you, Don Quixote. You're a good boy. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Oh, he's a sweet boy. Thank y'all, and I love y'all. Thank y'all for watching, and thanks for your patience with me. I know I'm quite a tool sometimes, and I'm a work in progress. I always will be. But I hope y'all understand what I'm doing here, and I love y'all, and I thank you so much. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give me your thoughts down below. Thank you. Love y'all, and bye.